look at the Alpha model Mitsubishi Lancer Evo Wagon. This is the Ralliart version, so it does have some cool extras, making it stand out a little more than the standard version, which is already incredibly cool to see. Now, I didn't really register this car in my mind previously, but when seeing the videos from Motion Auto TV a couple years ago where he built his own custom one, I got super excited to build one myself and was figuring out how to do it with some kits and bashing them and scratch building them, but luckily Alpha Model came out with this one, so that is no longer necessary. Let's see what is inside the box, just have a general quick look, and then go over some of the parts in a bit more detail. So as far as instructions go with these kits, they are not super detailed. They mainly just show all of the parts that are included in the kit, some of the photo-etch sheets to know which numbers are where if you're kind of lost, and that is really easy to go back to sometimes. Same for the decals. And then where are some basic instructions just showing you which parts needs to go where. Of course, that is something pretty normal in the instructions, so that is good. It's not overdone, but it is nice and clear to see everything and where it needs to be, and nothing more than that. Something I'm seeing more and more and that I really like is that they are actually taking some time and detailing the chassis. Now in this case, everything is molded in apart from the rear muffler section. Not that it is super detailed, but it looks a lot better than those flat pieces that they used to have before. So I'm really glad they're starting to do this more and more, and I really appreciate the effort that they're putting into this. Now on the other side, there is the base for the interior and also the center console already molded in. So just taking advantage of making one mold instead of multiple and still having the same quality that it needs to be. So that is really good to see. The rest of the chassis components are not incredibly detailed. The suspension bits, as you've seen in many other resin kits, specifically the ones from Alpha Model, it's just a small big part, a big part on which you mount the calipers, the discs, and some photo etch, and then you're pretty much done. So nothing special there. The calipers themselves are nicely detailed on both sides, and even on this side here, which usually is left out, so that's nice to see. And of course also some discs. These will be further detailed with some photo etch pieces to go on either side, I believe, or at least on the top side, which is visible, but those will come later on. There are a couple other pieces for the chassis or other detailing on the chassis side of things, and that is of course the muffler, like I mentioned before. This is a resin cast piece. I would have liked to seen this from a turned metal piece, just to make it a bit more realistic. They've done some metal exhaust tips before, so I don't see why they couldn't do it in this case as well. It's not really bad to have it like this, but it's just a nice small detail to see in metal, so maybe something they can take into account for the next one. Then there is a piece for the front radiator or intercooler. I believe this is an intercooler as it is a turbocharged car, so if I'm wrong, you're going to let me know in the comments down below anyway. But it is nice to see something for behind the grille, just a bit further than their usual emptiness. And then there is a radiator fan or an intercooler fan as well to be mounted there, I believe, which is also a nice detail that is going to be visible through the grills in the front bumper. And one final thing for the chassis side of things is, of course, the wheel and tire setup. Now, since this is the Ralliart version, they are going to be included in, they are going to have some Ralliart wheels included too, so not the standard Evo wheels. Now, not a big deal, as I really like these wheels. Maybe I'm even going to print some of my own. If you have suggestions, again, let me know down in the comments to see, or let me know what you like to see. The wheel itself is cast in resin, same as the other parts, and then the tire is a flexible resin, really nicely cast, has some nice details on the sidewall too, and of course a nice tread pattern, nice and deep, nice and detailed, and also very clean. And on the back side it does have some small markings from being cut off of the sprues from casting, but nothing really major, as the rest of the tire really stands out and has a nice finish. Moving on up from the chassis to the interior, I've already shown this piece, but this is the main build plate for the rest of the parts to go on top of. So we have some bigger parts for on the rear, I believe. This is, I think, yeah, this looks like rear. And of course the dashboard to go on the front side, and some rear seats to go in here as well. And again, this is the Ralliart version, so it comes with some bucket seats, not the standard seats. They still look really good and really cool. I kind of would have liked to seen the standard seats be included as well, but not a major problem, as these are pretty damn awesome too. Really clean and nice casting, crisp panel lining all over, and detailing all around, nice and deep, and no really shallow edges, so it makes it a lot easier to get a nice clean build without having to do too much touch up or adjustments. Same goes for the rear seats, really nice and deep panel lines, clear details, and pretty much ready to use. And of course for the dashboard, this is missing the insert piece right here, but that is no problem, as that is a separate part. You just slot it in there, and this is most of the times painted in a gunmetal silver finish, if I'm correct, so that makes it a lot easier, as you don't have to mask off anything. You just paint it and put it in. There are some more big pieces for the interior too, like the door panels. They did not skimp out on any details here either. They have a nice panel for the front, rear, and of course that B-pillar is included here too. Now there are some empty spots all over the place, but those are filled just like the dashboard with some separate ones to go into, so you don't have to mask it off and get a lot more complicated than it needs to be. You just simply paint it and put it in place. Speaking of all of those separate parts, there are multiple sprues with those parts included in them. Some for the center console, some for on the doors, for the door panels, the door pulls, etc. And also, of course, for the interior dashboard pieces like the shifter, the steering wheel, the handbrake, the shift over the steering wheel column, and some parts for the exterior too. And with that, most of the interior has now been covered, so we're going to move on to the exterior. For the outside, again, Ralliart version, so Ralliart mirrors, some of the specific vents and pieces for the wide body on the Wagon version included too. Really nice, just like all of the other parts, nothing to complain there. Now, one thing that I did find a little bit weird, here are some mirrors, and they have included an extra package with more of those same mirrors. Now, I'm not entirely sure if they are not completely the same or not. They do look very, very similar. These are cast and these are printed. The quality looks the same, it's just the color and maybe something in the shape here or there, but I'm not sure. So just an extra set of mirrors, I guess, for me. So the interior, chassis, and exterior are all treated the same way. Some of the parts that are kind of hard to mask for some builders are made into separate pieces. So the body is going to be painted in color X, and then this part will either be done in a flat black plastic color, or you can just paint it in pretty much any color you'd like, or even apply some decals to it without having the hassle of having the rest of the body attached to it. Now, that's not only the case with this part for the rear bumper, that is also the same for the light buckets front and rear, which are really, really nicely detailed. So that does give a lot of extra dimension to the model. It's really exciting to see this. And of course, also the rear spoiler. Now, I think this one can be painted black, and this one needs to be done in body color, and this one just needs to be put on top of it, or you can just leave it off, but that is all up to you. Aside of that, we also have some clear parts, the usual parts that I really, really hate. I'm not the only one, but in this case, I think it's going to be fine, as the side ones are pretty flat. Same for the windshield in the front and the rear, but I really don't like these. I prefer the ones in regular kits that are pre-formed and pre-bent, and you have to paint them yourself, which is the downside on those. And the upside of these is that they are pre-painted and pre-cut, but they are not bent, so that's well, I'll stop about that. You know what I'm talking about. And then there's also some cast parts for the taillights, the headlights, and some other pieces for in the headlights, I believe, the main beams, etc. Again, nicely detailed, clean, crisp casting with some sharp lines in there, so painting them and installing them should be a breeze, and a lot of detail is going to be visible through these. And to help out for the extra details that weren't already included, or were already included, but then they have added extra ones on top of those already included details, there of course is a sheet for the decals with some of the Ralliart logos. don't think I'm going to be using the big livery on the side, but some of these smaller decals are nice to see for the gauges, some other buttons and stuff all around, some logos, and just some general small detailing, which is cool to add. And of course, there are multiple sheets of photo etch. Some for the seat belts, which I'm not going to be using, some for seat belts, logos, interior bezels and trim pieces, which are kind of nice to see. Some more for, I believe these are side skirt extensions of some sort, but I could be wrong. And then of course the main ones for detailing the windows. I usually don't like to use these as they have super thin and fragile parts, but this one has some nice grab for the glue to put them in, so I will probably be using these. And of course the main ones for all of the grills, the wipers, and the discs themselves. They have included some smooth ones and also some slotted ones. I'm going to be going for these as I really like how they look, but maybe I'm going to be upgrading the brakes, although the standard Evo brakes are already pretty nice, so maybe not. Of course, the grills, which look really nice, has the Mitsubishi logo already in there, some detailing for behind the grills, and some other bits all around. And then finally, the piece de résistance with my perfect French, which is not perfect, so let's just move on. The main body. This is molded in one big piece, apart from some of the smaller pieces like the rear spoiler that I've shown before, some additional detail pieces that will go all around, and the front splitter, and the same for the rear diffuser piece, which will probably be painted in a different color or made into a carbon fiber look. Just as all of the other pieces in the kits, these go up in quality with every new kit they produce, and I really like that they don't stop with the standard quality they achieved on their first kit, but they keep on improving and just making it look sharper and sharper every single time. The panel lines are nice and crisp already. They could be a little bit deeper, but in this case I think they are already pretty good to go. So it's all up to you. I think I'm just going to scribe them out, as I tend to apply paint a little bit too thick, and with a bit thicker or deeper of a panel line, it's easier to hide that than just not scribing them out and having them lost after some clear coat, but that is down to the way that I build my models. The side skirts, all of the detailing is molded in, apart from those parts that again I already mentioned, so I don't know why I keep mentioning it. It is nice and flat, no excessive mold lines to be shown whatsoever, as they usually hide these on the bottom and already do some work to fill these up before they even send out the kits, which is nice to see as far as quality control goes. The headliner is also molded in. It has some small detail pieces here on the front, and the rest is just nice and smooth. Same for the A, B, and C pillars. Those are already molded in here as well. Nice to see, as most standard kits don't even have this detail at all. Now, like I said, in the front bumper there are some details to go behind this, so they've left this as an open piece, giving it a bit more depth and a bit more room for those parts to be installed into it, and just making it look a lot better. Overall, I'm really excited to start building this one, and I hope you guys are too. Now, like I mentioned before, I got really excited about an Evo Wagon when I saw the videos from Motion Auto TV. If you haven't seen his build, do check it out. He has an amazing channel, and he built an amazing version of this car. And I'm kind of tempted to build it in that same pearl white flip-flop color. But if you guys have any other suggestions, do leave them down below, as I'd love to know what you guys think I should do with this one. I have multiple ideas. Maybe just go for a standard dark gray one, white one, red one, black one, or if you have any other suggestions, again, do leave it down in the description below. I'm really curious to see what you guys would like to see from this build.